to our panel. We are going to talk about this afternoon unleashing the genius in our youth. And we have 3 people here, all under 40. Are you under 40, Greg?
Barely.
Barely, okay. Well, you still qualify as youth. Okay. So Emani Cannady, who is president of the Youth Council in Washington, D.C., with the NAACP, is going to be our moderator this afternoon. Emani is quite an accomplished young woman. She's an athlete, and she's involved in student government, and she's involved with the NAACP, and she wears a lot of hats. So we're really glad that you're with us, Emani. And then I'm going to ask you to introduce our other 2 panelists.
Hi, I'm Emani. This is DeAnna's stuff and Gregory Henderson.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. As Emani said, my name is DeAnna Stealth. I am a hip-hop artist, a motivational speaker, as well as an entrepreneur. And actually, at the age of 13, I started my own company called My Sweet Tooth LLC, where I catered to diabetics as well as those who have wheat sensitivities, and just people who are allergic to a lot of different things. So, and actually 3 years ago, that's when I started rapping.
Good afternoon, everybody. We're going to need you guys to hype up your enthusiasm a little bit, because we need some big discussion once we get this thing going. So I'm going to say that one more time. How y'all doing, everybody? All right. My name is Gregory Henderson. I've been an educator now for about 13, 14 years. Started off as a middle school teacher in Southeast, at Sousa Middle School. I now work as a auxiliary director, providing after-school programs, summer programs, and breakout programs in youth in Georgetown Day School. Thank you.
Okay, we want to ask this panel some questions. And Emani, we're going to start with you. Emani, give us an explanation for what really keeps you motivated. What gets you involved in wanting to be in the sports that you're in and to work as hard as you do? What gets you going?
I've been raised in a really tight, close-knit family. They're actually all in that corner over there. And my dad's right there. But I'm extremely competitive, and I think I've always had that inherent drive to want to learn and grow and get good grades. I've never been really pushed by my parents. They said that grades were important, but I was never really pushed. I was always competing with my friends and such. I'm really competitive. It's actually pretty sad. For inspiration-wise, I really look up to my grandfathers, both on my parental and maternal sides. They've done such great things for their families, and I just want to be like them, as well as my mother. My mother has a lot of inherent drive, and she's just a really hard-working woman. She's actually not available right now because she's at work. But I also, my inspiration pretty much comes from what has been exemplified in my house, household, and family. And I think that's what kids look up to a lot. They just have to look at what is around them. So if kids are brought up in a negative environment, they usually result in doing negative actions. So if you get a positive environment, even if it's not within their household, but somewhere in the school system or in their life, if they get that positive influence, then it can actually make a really big impact on their DNA.
I would have to say what inspires me is honestly the people that I have around me, which would be my parents, my team. They set a positive example for the way I should be, especially not only as a young Black woman, but as an owner, being a CEO, being, in this world. And just also myself, I strive every day to be better than I was yesterday. So I would say I motivate and inspire myself as well, because I want to show everyone that, you know, you can be great. You know, it doesn't have to be what people say it is, you know, and you have to understand that you are worth everything, you know, and we don't take pride in who we are as people. So I really think that's really what inspires me, and I just want to show that and share that with everyone who I, you know, reach and talk to.
I believe as a youth I was inspired by my parents who gave me everything. Grew up as an only child, and I was one of the few boys in my community that had a dad, and I felt really lucky. And because of that, I tried not to make decisions that would hurt my family, because they had given me everything I needed to succeed. As an adult, I find myself inspired by the struggle of our forefathers and foremothers for us to be where we are today, that have provided us the opportunity to be more successful than they were. I'm also inspired in working with kids, just their outlook on life, the potential that they have inside. They're not jaded yet. They don't have the judgments that we as adults have grown to have. They just want and need the support from us. So I'm inspired to try to give back for what I've got.
If everyone could tweet to, the hashtag is Envy Summit, and if they have any questions, comments, concerns, opinions, tweet and add that hashtag, and we'll be able to see it on Twitter. Also, I was wondering if anyone in the audience had any questions they'd like to ask or comments. You, ma'am?
Stand up.
Hello. Hi.
Question for DeAnna. As an artist, what advice would you give to any of the younger artists about being an adult artist?
Good question. I would honestly have to say, number one, learn the business. You know, with everything, you don't know all the way what you're going into. So it's good to, you know, learn from people, take information, knowledge from those who have already been in the business, and, you know, just also have an open mind about a lot of different things and go into it knowing that you don't know everything. You know, you have to be teachable. Yes.
What would your advice be for a young member who is experiencing violence, who is being bullied at school, and is intimidated and wants to be able to get help? From your observation of being with the youth member, what would you say to that person, to that young person, to give them the confidence needed for them to seek that help?
That's a good question. Well, first, before I actually answer that question, I want to say I was actually, before I was homeschooled, a lot of people don't know, I was in school and I was actually bullied, and that was the reason why I was taken out of school. And in my situation, I think for me, I honestly was lost because I felt like no one cared. I felt like I had no one to go to, because it was like, okay, well, if I tell a teacher, well, you know, as people would say, you're snitching, or, you know, you're a punk. You know, it was difficult, but I would have to say that I honestly would tell them, you know, to speak up for themselves, you know, because, and I'm still learning today myself, you know, every day. Speak up for yourself. If you don't speak up, no one will know or understand or hear you. And just to let them know that it's okay. You know, we all go through issues, and we, you know, I think everyone has experienced some type or form of bullying, and it's not okay, and that we need to work together as not only youth, but as a community to make sure that none of our children are affected by this at all.
And I would just want to say to that person that they need to find somebody that they trust, somebody that they consider a friend. And also tell them that that person that is bullying you, or these group of people who are bullying you, right now they're not feeling too great about themselves. And they need just as much support, or more so, than anybody else. I would tell them that if somebody is bullying you, either emotionally, cyberbullying you over the social media, then they have their own issues that they need to work out. And they're trying to make you feel bad to make themselves feel better. So it's all about building up their self-esteem so that they can navigate those bullying experiences on their own, because you, as a dad, as a brother, as a friend, you won't always be there. They will have to get through those on their own.
Personally, as someone who has been bullied, I think it's very important to remember, especially for you girls out here and boys, you're not alone. You need to talk to somebody, whether it's your guidance counselor, whether it's your best friend, whether it's your sister, your brother, your mom, your dad, and if they blow you off, then find someone else, because even though they're adults, they're not always going to be right. If you feel like you need some outside assistance, then go ahead and search for that outside assistance, because you're not alone, and that's very important to remember. Go ahead, ma'am.
Good afternoon. All of you young people are very, very impressive. My question has to do with peer pressure. At least that's what they called it when I was coming along. I would like to know specifically from each one of you all what you did when it came to the peers and the pressure that they put on you to follow instead of lead. Many of our young people are followers as opposed to leaders. So I'd like to know from 3 successful young people, what did you do? How did you handle peer pressure? Thank you.
Peer pressure for me was, I've always been able to stand out and have my own voice, but peer pressure was definitely real, and it was definitely apparent, especially in elementary school and a bit of middle school. Regarding it, you have to just be able to say no. I was taught, if you don't want to do that, you have your own voice, say no. And get a friend or get some assistance, once again. And not everyone, what's cool is not always really cool. Whether it's smoking, whether it's drinking, any type of thing like that, it's not always the best thing, especially for you. If you feel like you're not ready and it's not your time and you don't want to do it, you should be able to say no, and that's it. You need to be affirmative and aggressive if you have to be. Just make it very clear that you don't want to do that.
Thank you for the kind words, and thank you for raising that comment. Peer pressure is alive and real in the lives of our young people. We have too many youth that passed away, dropped out of school because of the influence or the negative influences of their peers. I would say that in order to be a leader, in order to stand up on your own 2 feet, you do need a foundation. That is something that is learned through conversation. They will need to have somebody in their life they can go to. Because if they don't, they will be susceptible to fall victim to peer pressure. Because when you get to a certain age, I know when I did, my peers, their opinions were almost as strong or more strong than those of my parents. Acceptance from my peers was more important than kind of the acceptance from my mom and dad. So it gets to a point of they need to find good friends, those who are doing the right thing. And when I say that, you're going to get those temptations where you have friends who are drinking, who are smoking, who are stealing. If that's all they see, then that's all they'll know. So it's important for us as parents, uncles, aunts, to expose our kids to other things so they know there is an alternative. So that when they have a youth trying to get them to do something that they know they're not supposed to do, they'll have that alternative to know, I can do something different.
Agreeing with what they said, peer pressure is certainly, it has a lot to do with why we go through what we go through in our community. And I would honestly say, for me, I was always the type that even when being bullied or, you know, anything, I was always doing my own thing. I never wanted to be like anybody else. So I would say for me, that's how I always stood out. But I would say to our youth, you know, number one, if someone is pressuring you to do something, they're not your friend, especially if it's something that is totally not of what you know that you should be doing. You know, if someone says, hey, you know, you want to smoke? No. You know, you have that right, and you have to use your voice. If you don't, you will be sucked into what it is that, you know, brings down the community. So you have to stand out as a person, as an individual, and be you, and not allow anyone to dictate or create your future for you, because it all starts with that. Just one smoke or one drink could lead to anything.
You have one question in the back? Go ahead.
It seems like all of you are very organized. Can you kind of express to the young people how important it is to have those organizational skills and have people to help them with that organizing their lives?
Organization, I've always been told that's very important. When it comes to school and your schoolwork and homework and stuff, you should definitely keep it organized. Otherwise, you won't turn it in and you'll forget about it. It's important to keep your life, if you live in a positive area, in a positive space, even in your own personal space, like your room, even if you share it with your brother or sister in your side of the room, keep it neat. My sister's looking at me funny because my room's very messy. I'm working on it, so I need to work on it. She's looking at me right now like, why are you lying? But if you try to keep your positive space clean and organized, it honestly reflects in all your work and everything you do.
Yes, thank you for saying that. I don't think I've gotten there yet, but I'm still working on it. As my mom used to say, who's sitting over there, if you don't plan to succeed, you'll plan to fail. So proper planning, proper organization is key to all aspects of your life. And if you start it off in school, and then it'll carry over to your career, and it'll also carry over to your family life. In this world where you got 3 million things going on at once, if you don't organize, if you don't plan, then you will become overwhelmed, stressed out, and then that can lead to a lot of difficult and unnecessary things.
I would like to say thank you as well, because I am still working on that. My team really keeps me level-headed and organized and everything as well, and they remind me the importance of that every day. My mom, what she always tells me is, prior preparation produces positive performances. So, you know, with everything, I always try to make sure that it's lined out and that, you know, I do it step by step. And it's just like with music. If I don't rehearse, I'm going to have a terrible performance. It's just that simple. You know, you have to work at everything, and not only just work, but, you know, just you have to practice. You have to, you know, that's even with as Emani said, like cleaning your room. My room is not always the cleanest at times, and I think we all, you know, as teenagers, we have that problem. So I think, you know, we just have to, you know, take it step by step.
Alrighty, I think we have time for about 2 or 3 more questions. Go ahead.
And I would like to take the opportunity to ask any youth member right now who may have a question for one of your peers. This is your opportunity to reach out to get some type of advice. So she said 2 or 3 questions. I am going to ask that one of the questions come from a youth member after the second question comes out. So think of a question. This is an opportunity for you to get some help from one of your peers.
And while you're thinking of your question, I'll just make a comment and give you an update on some events that you can be involved in. Like today, on the Millennium Stage at 6 o'clock, Head Rock will be performing. He's a poet, a writer, a really hip brother who has nurtured a lot of young writers. That's free and open to the public. Cannady Center, right there on the 80 bus. Then tonight, there's a rally at Mount Vernon Square where young people, everybody at the last rally was younger than 30 years old. The young people are the ones who are going to lead the struggle. Okay, we're getting older. Those of us, once we hit the 60s, we're 4 plus 4. You know, they don't want to listen to us too much. They don't even want us in the classroom too much. So we are your substitute teachers. You must listen to us when you come to your school. You know, don't give us a bad time. But I also want to say that if you join the rally, you'll be speaking up for those who are in Ferguson, and New York, Florida, and all over the place, because police brutality is real. And we have to be able to stand up and know our rights and join in the struggles. Come out and support the rallies. Don't be afraid. Don't sit home and say, oh, I don't feel like going. Your numbers mean a lot. Okay, and join an organization. I am going to join Dr. Meyer's organization today.
Thank you. We have one question, and then we're going to take a question from the youth.
Yep.
Okay? We'll take the question from the youth first.
With all the younger kids that are dying from like police brutality, what would you say to them so that they like continue to remain strong and positive?
I think that in regards to police brutality.
I don't think everyone heard your question, so could you repeat it?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay. To all the younger people that are dying from or getting shot from police brutality, what would you say to them so they can remain strong? Because it could have been anybody. It could have just been Trayvon Martin or Mike Brown.
I think it's very important to be aware of your surroundings, to be aware of what's happening, and to just listen. I'm not justifying what's happened to Trayvon or to Mike. I think you just have to, even if the person comes off really hostile, you just have to comply. And I think that's what would help the most, in my personal.
Thank you for raising that question. We have a chance to make a teachable moment out of a terrible tragedy for the rest of our youth. I would say to the youth who are feeling despondent or depressed about the recent police brutalities, the historical police brutalities, is number one, know your rights. Know what you can and when you cannot do when stopped or approached by law enforcement officials. If you know your rights, they will give you a certain amount of respect. But number two, and more importantly, and I hope all the youth can take from this, is respect authority. Respect authority. Whether it be your parents, whether it be your teachers, whether it be law enforcement. They're not always good teachers. Sometimes us as parents, we make mistakes. Sometimes there's good and there's bad police officers. Sometimes a good police officer could be having a bad day. At the end of the day, you have to respect authority, because if you don't, you will lose.
To add on to what they said, I would just say, personally, I feel as though a lot of times, especially with our community, we let a lot of things slide. We don't speak up for ourselves. And I feel as though it's not just a level of respect. You know, because police officers, not everyone, but for me, I feel as though in looking at the situation, certain people feel as though they have the right to tell you or to control what it is that you're doing. If I'm walking down the street and minding my own business, you cannot tell me to stop walking. I have that right. So I believe that we all need to speak up and let people know that, you know, we're tired of it and that we know our rights, and so that we should be treated fairly. Because I look at it like this. If it was their child, what would they say? What would they do? You know, so I just think that we need to stop allowing things to happen and to take a stand for once and tell the people that, you know, this is not appropriate.
Yes, let's give our panel a big hand. Thank you very much. DeAnna still? Okay, and Emani Cannady and Mr. Henderson, Greg Henderson. Okay, thank you.